What the fuck is up, gamers? Welcome to Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die, Not a Threat.
Just a fact.
My name is Alex, aka Serby, fully bloated. And that'll make more sense later.
It'll make more sense later.
Joined today by some hosts who aren't important and a special guest.
Oh, am I the special guest? Sick. All right, yes.
That's you.
Cool. I've never been special before. Yes, hello, it's Ciarán. I'm from the Corner Spaeti podcast. I'm just thinking about how much the Germans love homeopathy. It's really disturbing at the moment because there's a pandemic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that has come up in many places in North America as well. People who are very into homeopathy and not having vaccines.
There was a protest yesterday, actually, in Berlin, where a bunch of people were meditating in like a central part of Berlin with the Constitution at their feet. It was a very strange mix of energies.
Huh.
There's Constitution worship over there? You got that one too?
Oh, yeah, the Grundgesetz. They love it. They love the Grundgesetz.
So the thing about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms is that like it was a document that was created within most people's lifetimes, because it was only signed in 1982.
But wait, who's this? Who's talking?
Oh, my name's Matt. It's hydroxychloroquine, drinking bleach just to feel clean. I'm having a beer for breakfast because it's the damn quarantine.
Ooh.
And it's me, the leader of the flopposition, Matt. S. The S stands for Scotland.
Yeah. I actually had a different nickname, but I forgot what it was, so I had to do that rap that I was planning to drop like halfway through the episode. So that's about how my brain's feeling today. I don't know what happens when you have coffee, antidepressants, and alcohol within half an hour of each other, but watch out.
all the time.
All the time. Let's fucking go!
So should we just go feet first into the UK shit show, or?
Yeah, let's talk about the UK.
Okay.
Right now, there's no Americans here, so we don't have to talk about Donald Trump at all.
God.
Oh, the Cheeto.
He's a freaking Cheeto.
He is a Cheeto. I'm so hungry.
The guy might be a Cheeto. So there's been some news occurring UK side across the pond, if you will. So, as you know, there's news happening everywhere, and the UK is no different. Kind of a bunch of different places to start, but I think the most important thing for us to talk about is the hashtag Labour leaks.
Woo.
Very trendy. Crisis, I guess you could say, or kind of debacle, or...
I love when crises have hashtags. So trendy.
Yeah.
Scandal, is that the right word?
Crises. Yeah, scandal. I guess it's a scandal. Essentially, no, that's not essential. Basically, during the Labour Party's inquiry into anti-Semitism that was kind of a big part of the leadership campaigns that have just kind of come and gone. Oh yeah, Keir Starmer is in charge of the Labour Party now. We'll get to that. Yeah, so essentially, Keir Starmer was given the report, I think, on maybe the 5th of April or so.
He had it for about 2 weeks or something before it was leaked.
Yeah, so basically they were advised by their lawyers, the Labour Party, to not publish this part of the inquiry and instead rely on the data and the information that had been provided through sort of senior leadership, essentially, which kind of isn't a good look when you actually read the report. So I've kind of been getting a lot of this through Sinan Koz on Twitter. He read through it all and he kind of commented on it.
I'm glad there's people who are willing to read for us, so we don't have to do anything.
We are heroes.
There are a few, so there's big implications for Ian McNichol, who was the governance and legal unit head, which is basically kind of, as you can imagine, the governance and legal section of the party. I think one of the things, Ciarán was just saying this before, but like it's challenging enough to deal with just because how on earth are you meant to understand how this, like, the structure of this party works?
Right.
And like the leader's office seems to be, pretty much the only part of the senior Labour hierarchy that wasn't actually hostile to Jeremy Corbyn during the time of his leadership. There's like evidence to suggest the whole thing is so like loaded with sort of deceit that it's really hard to actually say what's suggested and what's evidence, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's break down some of the claims that were put into this article. So one, this is something that I saw in an article from 2018, also in addition to one from last week, is that the people in charge of advertising for the party were serving different ads to Jeremy Corbyn and journalists who are friends of Jeremy Corbyn than they were serving to the general public, basically to make it look like they weren't undermining his message by, like, putting really centrist-ass ads out there.
Yeah.
So, like...
Which is just, like, that's too on the nose.
Right?
Oh, yeah, the on-the-nose aspect of all of this is the best, I think. I guess that's the kind of first point, or one of the points you're getting to, is the kind of electioneering stuff that's in this report, which is really fucking terrible. Yeah, I think it's also worth, for context for anyone who doesn't know this, I think it's worth pointing out that most people who are mentioned in this report, or most people who are like responsible for the actions that are taken, that are described in this report, are like unelected bureaucrats within the party. These are like held job positions. The term apparatchik has never been the most useful term here, I think.
Yeah.
But like going
That's
back
my
to
favorite mountain chain.
Some of the great electioneering stuff would be that, like, there was basically a second campaign in 2017 conducted by Labour HQ where they gave substantially more money to like safe Labour right seats, and then like no money to marginal Corbyn friendly seats. Or just like
so like they could have done better in that election, but they literally did not, and they didn't want them to.
No, they didn't, and they were very surprised with the results, because the overall plot, as was outlined in the report, was they wanted to like lose very badly that election so that they could force a leadership election,
contest,
and install.
And then,
Tom
so one
Watson.
of the other things was like text excerpts from the election night where they were reading the polls and they were like, "Oh, fuck! I guess that's the fucking." The polling industry dead in the water because it had Jeremy Corbyn up like 30 points or whatever.
Right.
Like completely surging Labour's electoral share.
And also like when they were winning certain seats, it was like, oh, I bet all the poors voted for them here.
Yeah, it was all just like the exact image you have of kind of sneering.
Oh my god! Like one of the points where it's like there was people who were working in like the kitchens at Labour HQ or something like that. It was like they could hear like some of the like sanitation and food workers happy about a Labour victory, and they were like literally sneering about these people who work like with them in the same building. Yeah. I mean, of course, you know that they just view them as like the help, and I think they even used the word the help.
Yes, they did. Well, in the thing I read, it was pretty damn close.
Yeah.
One of the other truly more reprehensible sides of this was essentially Diane Abbott reported a couple of times to Labour HQ that the sheer amount of Diane Abbott, by the way, is the first woman black MP in the UK, and
first woman of colour.
Yeah, and essentially like was under a tremendous amount of hate mail and abuse just from sort of every angle. And reported this to Labour HQ, and I think basically there was a story a few years ago about Diana Abbott crying in the toilets in Labour HQ, coming from like the fucking Sun and stuff like that. I think it was Michael Crick, who maybe was at the Times. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter because it's all shite. But They basically had a text exchange where they were like, "Oh yeah, we passed on her location to Michael Crick."
It was one of the people that they told that story to was Rod Little, who is like involved in The Spectator. He was recently on an episode of Trigonometry, which is just as terrible a podcast
Is
as
that
it sounds.
what it sounds like?
Yeah.
Is that like fucking like Steven Crowder or some shit?
Yeah, basically. It's like the two most god-awful, like, comedians who are like, oh, we just want to say what people want to hear, and then they just
Okay,
talk
well,
about
if
the
we're
old
gonna
ball
if we're gonna
chain
go on,
for...
if we're gonna talk about what people want to hear, let's take for a moment the fact that his name is Rod Little.
Rod Little.
Well, you know what? It still sounds enough.
It
like
does.
You know
Like,
what?
we're talking about a
You know what?
little tiny little
Little Rod.
Like as if
thing.
his rod were small.
Rod
Yeah.
Small.
Tiny penis.
Oh shit! Woo! Woo!
Well, nothing wrong with that.
But I think it's like the story about Diane Labbott was leaked for the purposes of, oh, isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm.
Not like not as a kind of story to elicit sympathy for her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Sun's like whole angle, right? It's just like anyone who works in government is a crook, except for the people we like.
Well, Rod Little works for The Spectator, which is like the fancy man's, the rich man's The Sun. It's like it's a garbage paper.
It's nearly like the rich man's Breitbart almost.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Like it's run by Andrew Neil, who's just an unbelievable piece of shit.
Yeah.
And
It has a lot of the same
especially
journalists
Australia,
as Spiked.
Sorry, go ahead.
It has a lot of the same journalists as Spiked, but it's like all those journalists from Spiked not wilding out as much.
Yeah. There was a thing in a BuzzFeed article yesterday that described Spiked as a left-wing website.
Ooh.
While
Yes.
calling out a bunch of UK Twitter shit posters who
Yeah.
So there's another commentator called Dan Hodges in the UK, and he's nearly like PJW level of like complete fucking bonnet. But he it was like somebody tweeted like, unbelievable to hear Dan Hodges died. I may not have agreed with his politics, but I'm glad he's dead. And it was just like a fake tweet. And it was like this little like BuzzFeed fucking grass article where they were like, much of the humor seems to be surreal in nature. So it was like just shitposting, but they like named and shamed. And
like
also
a
picture
mentioned
of
Spiked
Buff
as a
Goofy.
left-wing blog site. Which
It's
is,
literally that one the one meme website, the write-up of Brooks as a prime example of shitposting.
Oh, I was gonna talk about the someone wrote up like the dirtbag left as like Bernie's base.
Oh yeah, as if it's not like 3 people on Twitter.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, no. It does just remind me of trying to refer to the post where Brooks was saying that he would warg into someone and jerk off as a prime example of shitposting.
Oh, right.
Like just real academic language for something that does not require it whatsoever.
But you do know Spike's history. It used to be called Living Marxism.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it was a Trotskyist, like a genuinely Trotskyist paper from like the 70s, back when like there was this section of the left in the UK that was suspiciously getting a lot of money, and all their opinions seemed to be garbage and in favor of the status quo.
Right.
About the same time that a bunch of right-wing terrorists in Italy were getting money from somewhere. I'm not saying that's in any way connected, but you know, whatever.
I wonder what happened to those guys.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Ah.
So Labour have been doing a bad job. We could kind of move on slightly to the new leadership and their cabinet, which is
Yeah. I wanted to. Yeah,
catastrophic.
it's the only other thing from the Labour leak that I like remember off the dome that we haven't really gotten into yet is how there was like anti-Semitism complaints were basically coming in to the Labour leadership, and they were going to Jeremy Corbyn in a way that suggests that they were dealt with, but they were basically just scuttling them to make him look worse.
Yeah.
Which is like, that is just fucking evil.
I have the exact quote here if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so Lotto was informed, Lotto being leader of the opposition, that's Jeremy Corbyn effectively, was informed that all Labour against anti-Semitism complaints had now been dealt with, more than 300 of them. The vast majority of complaints were not about party members. All those 73 cases, 73 cases were actually being able to dealt with. All those 73 cases were now receiving a suspension. All complaints of anti-Semitism were being dealt with promptly and appropriately. And to quote the paper again, none of this information was accurate.
Naturally.
Weren't the majority of those complaints coming from one person as well?
More than 50% of the complaints came from one person, as far as I remember. But this is not this is specifically talking about the Labour Against Anti-Semitism, which is an organization that is organized within Labour. They made complaints to Labour HQ about anti-Semitism within the party.
They were like a commission, basically?
No, they're like a special interest group within the party. Possibly a caucus in the American context is a way to think about it, but it was like prominently Jewish members, MPs, things like that, and people who have an interest in, there being no anti-Semitism. As one should.
As one should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's one other thing actually I wanted to highlight was that it's worth if this sort of stuff is interesting, it's worth reading the whole thing because it's really damning. But one other thing I wanted to mention was Sam Matthews, who's in charge of something. Essentially, there was a comparison of his just his general score on the pre-interview matrix or whatever for getting this job. I'm just trying to find he was head of disputes, so but he was also kind of an ally of a lot of the people like Ian McNichol, Jonathan Ashworth, people like that. They had a comparison of his kind of political record and his CV in general, compared with the other person that was up for the interview, and Sam Matthews has like no history of activism, no history within the Labour Party really to speak of, whereas the other guy, whose name escapes me at the moment, was a local councillor. He was a doctor, had been volunteering for various he'd been volunteering for food banks. Essentially, the image
would have been good at the job.
Corbyn Labour Party, in full, was up for it versus Sam Matthews, who's a career thick of it style, grey suit, sneering at poor people kind of guy, and obviously they get to him. And, there was another sort of list for, I think it was members of sort of parliamentary Labour Party. It was sort of a admission checklist sort of thing, and it was basically like where do they sit on the Iraq War? Give them 10 points if they think it was good for some reason. Like that's what it said in the
oh boy,
10 points to Gryffindor for implicating Iraq for having WMDs.
Hey Sara, how's it
going? I'm here with my here. I'm gonna post my cool new setup that I have for my. I finally figured out how to actually put my fucking podcast mic and arm together.
Hell yes!
I'm podcasting.
You got your own arm for a mic? Here I am using mine like a fool.
She played Final Fantasy VII Remake and got really inspired by Barrett.
Hell yeah.
That's a very bad picture.
Okay, but what if Barrett was a podcaster?
I mean, I haven't played the game, but from what I can tell, he's like an eco-terrorist and he's right, so he should be a podcaster.
He has all the correct takes, so I'd listen, I'd subscribe.
And he's not white, so he's allowed to make a new podcast.
Exactly.
Oh, is that moratorium still in effect? God damn it. I haven't been to the head podcasting council yet.
Yeah, we actually we got in under the wall. Actually, no, we
were grandfathered in.
Matt was one of our founding fathers, so
exactly. I'm not white. We're good.
They haven't changed the rules since 1900, so I'm still not considered white. So it's great. I'm some sort of potato ape person.
I do really enjoy the idea of like a podcast council convening in 1900 and being like, okay, in 100 years, someone will invent podcasts.
In 100 years, They Might Be Giants will invent the podcast.
This is going to be huge, I tell you. How much money will it make? None.
Anyways, hey, I'm Sara, a.k.a. Bong Johnson Silver.
Okay.
Yeah? It's pretty good.
I like it a lot.
Multi-layered.
spur of the moment. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. We're just basically finishing up through the labor discussion.
Ah, damn! I was hoping to catch that. Oh well.
The Labour Party obituary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I wanted to know. I've seen the articles.
I think they should change. Hey, hold on. I have a joke for the new Labour Party leader to make.
Okay.
Okay.
He should change his name to Jeremy Hasbin. Thank you.
Okay, let's not
Okay.
belabor it.
So I've seen the articles. I've seen people being mad online about it. Is there any actual fallout to this yet? Is anything actually happening?
No.
Ian McNichol resigned.
Okay. So that's one person.
I think they should change. Hey, hold on. I have a joke for the new Labour Party leader to make.
Okay.
Okay.
He should change his name to Jeremy Hasbin. Thank you.
Okay, let's not
Okay.
belabor it.
So I've seen the articles. I've seen people being mad online about it. Is there any actual fallout to this yet? Is anything actually happening?
No.
Ian McNichol resigned.
Okay. So that's one person.
No, it's solved.
Resignations.
It's
You get
over.
one.
Ian McNichol's out. He was the one guy that caused the rot in the Labour Party.
All those
cured.
WhatsApp leaks were just him talking to himself.
So what you're saying is that this is literally the DNC email leak and Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigning.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So nothing is going to change, and it's going to be the exact same thing if anyone, even nominally left, ever comes into any position of power within the party ever again.
Yeah,
you
because
know-
it's an institutional problem.
In the wake of the DNC email leaks, I grow more and more impressed at the sheer audacity of Hillary Clinton releasing a book called "What Happened," and like.
Don't read that.
like-
What happened? Read this. What happened?
It's the drill tweet. It's the Perp fires a full AR-15 mag into my leg with perfect accuracy. Okay, here's what I think happened. 1 out of 32.
So, like, basically, like, with the DNC, like, I feel like just the larger American public doesn't know anything or care. Is this also true in the UK?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a general disposition to dislike Jeremy Corbyn from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Just among people. But
So what you're saying is that everything is exactly the same.
yeah. Except some of Labour's base are really fucking pissed off.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were
I think
right.
we were already. Yeah,
They're right to be.
We spent the last couple of years being gaslit about this, he's a big raging
unelectability.
anti-Semite. Yeah, all that. And then we were like, no, I don't think that's the case. And then we were all told it was conspiracy, and now it's true, and I should be happy. But I'm not.
Yeah.
Remember when vindication could feel good?
No, never.
I'm really just waiting for the proof that party leadership of the NDP is preventing its leftward moving that the base of the party and any of the voters of the party all clearly want.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
Because that's been like such a consistent thing, is that the NDP, like basically since Jack Layton, who is like the popular leader of the NDP,
Oh, I
who
love
led,
his puzzle games.
he led the party to its like best electoral result in
Was he the
2011.
Jeremy Corbyn of Canada?
Well, no one ever. The thing is that the opposition never really stuck anything to him.
Right, yeah.
Because the only reason that his influence in the party died is because he died.
Right.
R.I.P. to a real one.
Yeah.
That said, even with him at the helm, the party was on a steady rightward shift. They were aiming for centrist voters the whole time, and it has yielded like steadily more disastrous electoral results. Since then, the only thing that saved the NDP in the last election was like Jagmeet Singh's like general personal popularity, because the party itself was doing very, very poorly.
Yeah,
every single riding that they were a part of.
That Jagmeet Singh, yep, nope, TikTok really swayed the youth vote.
But like for example, Quebec, Jack Layton swept Quebec in 2011. He got like a huge number of the seats there, and the 2019 federal election, the NDP has 1 seat in the entire province of Quebec.
Seat, you get 1.
And like it's Alexandre Boulris, who is actually pretty cool, and I'm glad that he got to keep his seat. But like at the same time,
good name.
Yeah, they just their entire operation just is running on fumes at this point, and I wouldn't be surprised if it has been like a deliberate hobbling by members of the party, or even possibly the members of other parties. Like the Canada's system is there's money in there, even though there's not supposed to be.
Well, one of the big takeaways for a lot of people, I think, from what I've been reading, is that ultimately the party seems to be at the mercies of these kind of guys who study politics at uni and then leave uni without a point of view, without a foot in the fight, and they get these political jobs, and it becomes this kind of insular thing, and it's like the apparatchik thing. It's like it's people who are not like in what you would generally imagine a left-wing politician to be today, in terms of, you know, like I think envisaging them as a kind of grassroots
right, because
first
they're
kind of politician.
Like their prerogative isn't to push the party's
exactly mandate. It's
to maintain the existence of the party by any means necessary.
Exactly right, and that itself is like just such a like destructive and completely pervasive
and inherently conservative, because you're trying to conserve the party structure instead of the party's ideas.
I'd push back on that a little bit. I'd say at this point they're just like not even conservative, they're properly reactionary, because the party has moved on. Like, the party in any meaningful sense is its membership, which is still democratic, a membership they have absolute contempt for, because from the WhatsApp chats, which I want to just illustrate this for everyone at home. The WhatsApp chats got leaked because they sent their own WhatsApp chat, their private WhatsApp chat, to their work email, which put it into the scope of the investigation. I find that hilarious.
That's
like,
so
it's
funny.
in private. It's a whole bunch of people who can't open PDF.
They want to make a word cloud of like of the entire chat so that they could see how often Jeremy Corbyn and cunt came up in the same sentence.
Did they put it in their email, or did they just do like a cloud backup? Because that's something you do with WhatsApp, is you can like back it up to like Google Drive and shit.
I strongly am of the opinion these people do not know how to do a cloud backup. I swear to God,
I think they took screenshots of their phone screens and then just sent those to themselves.
I think they dragged their mouse over the web.whatsapp web view and then copy and paste the text. So with that like unreadable, like Ian McNichol 1421 said. But like, they have absolute contempt for the party. The parties, like, they also have contempt from the WhatsApp chats. They have contempt for raising of corporation tax and renationalizing the train industry within the UK, which are
nationalize trains. You have to.
You do. It doesn't make any sense. You can't run 2 trains on 1 track.
It takes the things that I'm most passionate about, which are trains and nationalizing things, and puts them into one convenient package for which we could do the nationalization of trains. It just makes sense, folks.
Yeah, I'll put that into my utopian socialist ideas, as well as the soup tap. I'm in favor of the soup tap. We have a hot water tap, a cold water tap, and a soup tap. There's always soup. If you can't afford food, there's soup at home. But the 66, I think, percent, like roughly 2/3 of the whole population, not even the like Labour membership, are in favor of raising corporation tax and and like renationalizing the trains. So
it's always funny how a stat like that will exist and just not factor into policy anyway whatsoever.
Oh no, they hate these people. They're like you said, like as you were saying, they're like political science students, which are terrible people. Because it's basically 4 years of college telling you that nothing can change. Don't worry about it. Just put in a new number in the spreadsheet, and maybe that will marginally improve something for like radio listeners in Ohio, which is an important demographic of this election.
It's that one picture of like a bunch of like homeless guys walking through a book, and they come out like as business guys, except for it's a bunch of homeless guys walking through a political science book, and they come out Nate Silver.
Speaking of homeless guys, these are the kind of people who want to have that bit from The Simpsons where the homeless person like transforms into a postbox. Like when gentrification comes. That's their political ideology at the moment.
Oh, I really do. Yeah, that's really just it, isn't it?
Before we move on from labor, I just want to... Every time labor comes up, I just always think about this, and I always like to remind everyone else. Do you remember that time that the Tories put out that image of Corbyn in a chicken suit, and he looked like he was about to drop the best album of 2018?
So good. Yeah, but like, I think another part of why nothing is changing is just the general like media hostility towards Labour and its current state.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these things about the report and a lot of stories that are coming out, like Jewish people getting suspended from the Labour Party by Labour HQ for like anti-Semitism when it was just kind of like a vaguely critical of Israel position, where like Holocaust deniers within the party weren't suspended until like earlier this year.
Well, Rachel Reeves is still a member of the party and has been pretty vocal in her support for Nancy Astor, the famous Hitler apologist of the Labour Party of the 30s.
Yeah, so this is it was always like the coincidence of all this was like the people who were anti-Semitic or considered anti-Semitic. Like I said, the guy I was talking about is like an anti-Zionist British Jew who like shared articles by like Norman Finkelstein or something like that. He was a proud and vocal supporter of Jeremy Corbyn, and he was suspended almost immediately, whereas people who didn't really state they were huge fans of Corbyn but were anti-Semitic were kept in the party for as long as possible.
Well,
right, and
Corbyn
now the new
was
leader
real
has
anti-Semite.
The new leader has said like I'm explicitly a pro-Zionist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things I remember seeing about him. Is
I
that
didn't hear that.
Like,
also
yeah, no,
still-
that. Keep going.
Sorry, he's also like taken on positions regarding the EU, which isn't really popular in the UK, or just like he's in favor of attempting to rejoin, which is just not a feasible idea.
It just really isn't.
No, it's a conversation I don't think anyone's willing to care about.
Yeah. I mean that's like in addition to the everything else. Waffling on being kind of waffly on Brexit is definitely something that hurt Jeremy Corbyn in the long run. No,
I think the position I think the only thing that you can I know that this debate has been drawn out so much, but like in 2017 they were kind of clear on the position that hey, we're going to leave, but we're going to negotiate the best deal possible.
Right.
And then in 2019 when they had the second referendum position, it was conceding the point to everyone who was hostile towards them.
right?
And as soon as they adopted what was effectively the Lib Dem position, the Lib Dems adopted the like, we're not having a referendum, we're just going to stay in without the consent of the public position.
Yeah.
The whole thing was insane.
Did the Lib Dems do well in that election, or did they?
Nope.
Shit, I actually. Yeah, okay, I thought so.
Joe Swinson lost her seat. You guys might remember Joe Swinson. She lost her seat.
Yeah, okay. I thought
zone.
so. I thought so, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to assume.
Yeah, no,
I do love seeing the Lib Dems eat shit. It's really wonderful.
Well, you probably will see a lot more of them eat shit for the next 5 years, since half of the Labour Party are now the Lib Dems.
Hey, how did the Cuck Party do? Remember the Cuck Party?
It was meant to be Chuck. It was meant to be Chuck. They scream as they turn into a corn cob.
Yeah,
I literally know nothing about the Cuck Party except for that the day after they formed, one of them went on TV and said something like extremely racist.
Yeah,
Yes.
literally right away.
Yeah.
I remember when we were about to start that one of the things that we were going to discuss was newspapers, right?
Oh yeah. So
that's actually a good dovetail from
More like Pooh's papers.
like who's?
Okay, first of all, nice, and second of all, it's a pretty good dovetail just from like the media complicity in the fact that
The complicity
against labor.
Yeah.
And I'm going to post something about Canadian newspapers in the guest room. This is who the Canadian newspapers endorsed in each election between 2006 and 2015.
Interesting.
so cute.
It's a lot of blue.
Are there any Is there any kind of media monopoly going on here, or what?
Almost every one of these papers is owned by Rupert Murdoch.
I see a broad debate.
Manufactured consent machine goes brrrr.
It sure does. So I'm going to post this on the Twitter, but just so you don't have to look at it to know what I'm talking about, almost every single newspaper has endorsed the Conservatives in every single election. The rare opposites are the Toronto Star, which almost consistently goes Liberal, and Toronto Now, which has gone New Democrats several times, and La Devoir, which is a Quebec paper that has endorsed the Bloc Québécois, and they are the only people who have done so.
I forgot that French was a language in Canada, so I was like, "There's a paper called The Devour? That's so cool."
No, it just means the homework.
But yeah, so newspapers are not doing well in a pandemic. How's that going?
Yeah, so one of the it actually came out of the Labour leak thing was that I think some of the initial parts of the story to break were published in the Sunday Times, and people were just screen capping it and posting it on Twitter, and then all of these like kind of shock outrage type columnists from the Guardian and the Independent and all the supposed opposition, I guess, papers suddenly were like, "Oh my fucking god, you're disrespecting the work of journalists by doing this," and it's basically been an ongoing thing where journalists from the UK can keep saying, "Your print media is so precious, your BBC is so precious, why would you hate us so much?" While completely holding their entire readership in like absolute
Contempt.
Intellectual contempt. Yeah.
That has been.
Do you remember that newspaper that like shuttered in the States last year or something? And their final like issue, the cover was just like a cell phone with their website on it, and it was like, "Hope you're happy, idiots."
Jesus Christ. So like, okay, so I'm gonna say kind of like two things here, which is I'm gonna keep one relatively low key, which is I kind of study as like my job what is happening with the journalistic industry, and the results that the piece of information that I always love from like various surveys that ask people like why aren't they engaging with news, or why don't they want to pay for news and things like that, is my favorite piece of information, which is people hate the news. That's the actual wording of it. They hate it. And that's like one they don't want to talk about, because everyone wants to talk about the fact like, oh, everything's gone online, or like everything's been like decommodified, horror. But like, no, it's like they hate the news. They hate, in this kind of race to be successful online, you like cheapened your own work into like just awful shit. And now you keep trying to do that, even though you're like, oh, we're going to be prestige kind of aspect of it. We'll have a paywall, but on the other side, it's goodish. It's worth it. Don't worry. It's definitely not going to be that recipe for maple pecan squares where we open it with on the eve of 9/11.
Never have I ever seen a shooting star, and then just the entire
20 years of rotations.
The entire Kid A review, and then
hey, Matt, this isn't Tuning Fork.
Matt, do you remember that fucking the Sata post? That's the fucking
Chunky Dunk Hydrating Lippy.
No, the fucking that's like the looking for a recipe on mashed potatoes, and it's like a 10-paragraph story about their childhood, and the recipe is like take a fork, take butter, mash potato.
Yeah. So, I really like, there was a tweet a while back, I can't remember who did it, but I love the concept because I think it's really true. There is definitely like a serial killer out there who like writes recipes and put them online, and in the opening paragraphs is telling you where the bodies are and that he did it, but no one reads it, so he's getting away with it.
And that man's name, O.J. Simpson.
That man's name, Ted Cruz.
Okay, sorry for this.
If I mashed it.
This has been on my mind for the last like 2 weeks, but it's. Do you remember that time that O.J. Simpson killed someone and then got acquitted, and then wrote a book that said I killed them?
No, he wrote a book said if I did it, and then the parents of the other person who was killed, the waiter that everyone forgot about, bought the rights to the book and then republished it so the if was really small.
Yeah.
What? Is that real?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, one thing that really... Trying to stay on topic.
Sorry.
So we're talking about the failing O.J. Simpson industry.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing that really gets me is with the CBC, and I suppose across the pond, this is also true of the BBC, where you'll have right-wingers constantly talking about defunding them for being like left-wing communist propaganda, and then you actually read the article, and like it's nothing but right-wing hack bullshit. Yeah. Like there have been so many CBC articles that like framed migrants as being like pests. Like they didn't say it explicitly, but they frame it like that. And there's been so many articles talking about like the quarantine in like economic terms, and it's like right now basically it's that one meme from Predator where it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers with their
Carl
huge
Weathers.
arms.
You got a stew going.
Yeah, and they're flexing and shaking hands, and it's the left wing and the right wing, and then the joined hands is defund the CBC.
Yeah.
Because like even like our ostensible like neutral public broadcasters have been publishing nothing but right wing hack shit. Like NPR.
That's what NPR stands for, by the way. Neutral public broadcasters.
NPR has been fucking brutal lately.
What was that thing they put out this week that like fucking drove me, that like made me fucking go absolutely bonkers?
Well, here's one from fucking today, Here and Now, posted on Twitter. The U.S. Postal Service is anticipating a loss of $13 billion in revenue this fiscal year due to the coronavirus crisis, and another $54 billion in losses over 10 years. But the Trump administration appears opposed to bailing it out. This seems almost neutral at a first glance, but if you really, really think about it, why are they framing an essential public service as a business that's losing money and not as an essential public service that's brutally underfunded and is also, like, you know, the whole thing about the U.S. Postal Service having to pay their pension liabilities 75 years in advance?
Yep. And the also like the fact bailout is a very like heavily like no one likes the word bailout.
No one likes the word bailout, especially after 2008.
Yeah. The NPR story that I was remembering, by the way, was that woman who like lied and said that her employees stopped coming to work because they wanted to collect the sweet unemployment checks.
Right. And then it turns out that she laid them all off.
Yeah, she laid them all off, and NPR just like ran that story without even bothering to talk to the people or like because like the way the story ran, they literally just like published a thing accusing her employees of unemployment
fraud, welfare fraud, yeah,
and just made no attempt to do whatever.
Yeah, no, it's pretty brutal. So this is why we all hate our public broadcasters, and everything that's not a public broadcaster is owned by Rupert Murdoch.
Speaking of hating our public broadcasters, or Matt, do you still have more? Sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
NPR stands for Never Poo Rolitex. Thank you.
Nice. Speaking of hating our public broadcasters, CNN has finally decided to cover the Tara Reid stuff and possibly one of the worst headlines I've seen in a while.
I mean, first of all, they're not public. Let's be clear.
Yeah, right.
But like, does the U.S. have a public broadcaster? Like, they don't have one on TV, do they?
PBS?
PBS and NPR.
Yeah.
PBS is like donation funded? Hang on, I need to look at PBS
they both subsist heavily off of donations because they're intensely underfunded, yes.
I believe PBS is... sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
I was just going to say, public is, it's kind of a wink public.
Yeah.
That's true of anything in the States, is it
traded.
not?
It's NP *R and P *BS.
It's a non-profit organization. It's not like a state body or a semi-state body.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And as we all know, nonprofits are great and we love them.
Inherently good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No
Nothing
ideology.
wrong with them.
I'm never not thinking about the fact that the employer of about a third of the people in my town is a nonprofit tandem hospital and university. They don't pay anything in property taxes. Like the people at the top just like make so much goddamn money, but it's a nonprofit.
The Catholic Church.
We love it. Anyways, back to CNN for a bit. So the big story of the past couple of days. This is more about the Tara Reid stuff, but the big story of the last couple of days is that someone uncovered a Larry King segment back in '93. Which is like it was like shortly after Tara Reid claims that she was let go for rebuffing Joe Biden's sexual assault and like digital rape. And so the Larry King caller was not identified by name or anything, but it was like right after she had left Tara Reid had left Biden's office. The person was calling from San Luis Obispo, which is where Tara Reid's mother lived, and the person called in and said, "Hey, so my daughter actually just left a prominent senator's office because she tried to bring it up the chain, but they wouldn't listen to her, so she kind of just had to go, and she chose not to bring it to the press out of respect for him." And so CNN has decided to cover this, and here's their tweet. Biden's accuser says mother called in to Larry King Live in 1993 for advice after alleged sexual assault.
Very load-bearing says right there.
Yeah, and mother. It does not identify that it is her mother. Like, this
everyone's somebody's mother.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that is like...
And the on the clip they like read they did not they're not airing her interview, they're just reading denials. Like Tucker Carlson ran a story about this on Friday night. Like there's only like the media can only pretend to ignore this for so much longer. And the shift I've been seeing from fucking liberals has been absolutely garish too. It's been a very quote unquote fun to watch shift where they go from he definitely didn't rape her and she's lying. Now it is I don't care if I've seen tweets that are like I don't care if he raped 100 women, we gotta beat Trump.
Yeah.
And that's what it always was.
No, that is what it always was. And one thing that is very important with this with the video coming out is that the video was posted online by like a right-wing rag an hour after the transcript was posted, which means that they have absolutely been sitting on this and would have released it in a couple of weeks anyway.
Oh yeah.
Like literally people were talking so much in the primary about how the Republicans are sitting on all this Bernie oppo that they can use to sink him during the general. And, like...
This Hillary staffer came out and said, yeah, we didn't have any oppo on him. Like,
yeah!
There's nothing... You can throw anti-Semitism at him, but it doesn't work. Like, that's all there is.
He has a really embarrassing folky album from, like, the 60s? Is that anything?
There's that one bad essay, which has already been talked about. The whole thing about, like, there being oppo that they're sitting on implies that there's more, but there literally isn't. Whereas with Biden, he has an entire history in the Senate of just completely garbage shit, aside from the fact where he literally raped someone.
Yeah, and, like, if they had oppo and Bernie during the primary, something would have come out.
Well, I mean, what they had was the Cuba stuff and him, like, his honeymoon in the USSR.
And Warren. The whole Warren thing.
They also tried very early on that the Sandinistas thing, but that didn't stick either.
I'm sad that didn't stick because I would have loved to have said Sandernistas a lot on this podcast.
I mean, we can say it now if you'd like.
I did just say it. Thank you, Sandersnistas.
Thanks.
Sanders Nistas.
Damn Sanders, your Nistas.
You're under arrest. Biggest Nistas I've ever seen.
The thing is, I would have loved to get mad about a President Bernie Sanders. I would have been shit talking that man every fucking day he was in office, but it would have been so much nicer.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, that the libs have had to realize is that the idea that there was a cult of Bernie and, like, we were all falling in line with him. Like, I say the royal we, as in leftists.
Yeah.
It just isn't true because, like, they knew.
Yeah, we're not horny for Bernie like the calf cramp lady was for Beto.
I mean,
exactly.
Like, the fact that, like, people basically just, like, you know that one video where the guy does, like, the peace sign and then he disappears?
Yeah.
That was us the second Bernie said he was endorsing Biden.
Yeah.
Like, we knew he was gonna do it, but, like, Bernie's whole fucking slogan was not me, us. Like, that was literally the point.
It's like the Democrats are still surprised that, like, people will see someone who's telling them what they want to hear to massively boil it down a little bit. Like, they were so confounded by Donald Trump because he was, like, speaking to his base, and they're like, no, this can't be right. Our thing's working, right? Like, the guy in the suit from Washington, like, it works, right? and then
Or the lady in the pantsuit from Washington.
yeah, and like it's actually like just shit, an ineffective way of energizing your base, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, right, what can we do here?
Democrats literally don't understand the concept of not treating their base with contempt.
Yeah.
And whenever you ask a Democrat on Twitter, like, how many phone calls have you made for Biden, that's like a non-question to them. Like, they don't
They're
understand
like,
what the
fuck?
point of the question is.
Why would you call someone?
Sorry, I kind of figured it out. I just want to posit this theory. Patented Ciarán theory. Listen to my podcast for more. But here's another one off the top of my fucking head.
CS stands for Kieran's theories.
So this kind of goes back to the political science students as well, because like basically the Democratic establishment is also filled to the brim with political science students, and
Yeah.
the probably the biggest problem with political science as like a specialization that you do in college is that you have to justify it. So when you justify it, you have to say that you can only understand politics if you've gone through the course. Therefore, the general public does not understand politics and should not be
Right.
trusted with it.
Yeah.
I think that's
Exactly.
ultimately what that ideology leads to.
Yeah, it's like economics thinking that they're a real science because
Why?
they went to school for it. Because they have to justify going through 4 years of school for something that's fake.
Yeah.
Basically.
I think, yeah, because I did like an A-level in politics in high school, and I definitely, for a few years, came out of it thinking like, yeah, the big problem is people just don't try and learn enough about politics. And that was just like from my school education. So if I then took that on and did that at university and kind of had that belief in my head the whole time I was learning, like, what the fuck am I learning? Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, my like secret belief after high school was that, you know, if the world had a benevolent dictator, then everything would be okay, because obviously one person knows what's best for everyone.
Right.
And it took me a while to like realize how completely wrong that was.
Yeah, the thing about that mindset in general is just like it comes at the problem from the wrong way, because there is like a lack of political education in the general public,
Yeah.
and that is something that does happen. But like, your answer should be, we need to actually help do that. We need to have people understand their rights. They need to we want them to understand the process. But what happens with these, you know, party apparatus is that they say, no, we have to circumvent them. We have
Right.
to circumvent the fact that democracy exists.
Well, you get political education in Ireland, and it's mostly like, we do it in secondary school, and it's mostly like, here's how our ridiculously complicated but very good voting system works. And then you just stare at the trolley problem for like the rest of the class. Being like, what are you gonna do? Come on.
Multi-track drifting.
Congratulations, you got all the people on the track. You win.
By the way, unrelated good news, everyone. I had to let Smile out of her tank because she was like bumping up against the glass. She just jumped out of my lap and ran straight into a wall.
Fuck yes.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't even think it's necessarily a matter of increasing. Well, like, it is, but I think you can't just increase you can't just teach understanding of politics and teach like
Yeah.
that what the apparatus is, but you also need to like remove a level or two of obscurity regarding like what politics has become so obscure, and it's like this Labour leaks thing of like, how many layers to unelected Labour Party officials are there? Like, how many?
Yeah,
people
no, it's
are
like
there
it's
in
a
the Labour
fucking
Party?
shell game. Like,
Exactly.
the
So it's
the
like,
second you're working to understand one part of it, there's a different part of it that's influencing it. I think it's I kind of misspoke. It's less we need to educate them and more we need to come to them where they are.
Right. And
It's on us to make it understandable.
exactly,
And,
and like, well, one other thing is like, and hear me out here. Maybe the newspapers could do it.
Oh.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fucking nice, huh?
No, we
Just
need
a crazy idea. Don't know how you
Yeah.
guys feel about that.
I have a friend who works at the CBC right now, and his job has basically just been like front level coronavirus reporting, like grabbing numbers and making them into like formats that can be used in articles. So like fucking grisly, awful work to be doing right now. basically just like, you know, counting the sick and dead.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, this is like unsubstantiated because it's just, you know, from a friend. Apparently, like, front level reporting has a great contempt for the editorial. And I imagine that this is true in a lot of papers because people go into journalism because they want to affect change and then end up in an apparatus that doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Well, going back to NPR, there was that thread by someone talking about, a few years ago when I was at NPR, there was this, like, I forget what, but, like, the head person who, like, had the veto on every headline, like, had to, like, his job was to reword everything so that it wouldn't offend conservative listeners. So no matter what you brought to him,
as if conservatives are regularly fucking listening to NPR.
So
NPR should even appeal to them.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It has the word public.
The right it's Luigi winning Mario Party by doing nothing. The right just completely ignores NPR and they shift the Overton window like by a mile without doing a goddamn thing.
Yeah. This is very unfair because Waluigi is clearly like a libertarian.
No, Wario's the libertarian. Waluigi's an ANCOM.
Waluigi is
Mario's a liberal, Luigi is a leftist.
Luigi's been very cucked though by Mario. It's very unfortunate.
Oh, unbelievably cucked.
Wait, are you saying that Mario is banging Daisy too?
Yes.
I say
Mario's laying chump all around town.
Mario fucks non-stop.
Okay, my most successful tweet of all time, and I'm just going to pitch it again here, was how I convinced the whole world that the Mushroom Kingdom was a part of the Holy Roman Empire. And that was my only explanation for why there was a blonde woman in charge of an Italian person. So that was... because it's the fusion of Germany and Italy again. Maybe going seriously back to the topic, though. My general pitch is that we should go back to the way newspapers used to run, which was they have a clear and stated ideology and party affiliation, and every major party gets a major newspaper. This is how Japan still does it, and I think it rules.
Interesting.
How does that work? How does that work, like, funding-wise? How do they get their papers out there?
Well, the paper, like, generates a profit themselves. Like the paper and the news service. I'm trying to find the name of the Japanese Communist Party has a newspaper. Japanese Communist Party, very good. They have this thing. They make a bunch of mascots for their Communist Party to explain various different like.
Oh fuck yes!
Japan has like the U.S. is like the U.S. has some okay sports mascots, but like Japan just has our mascot game beat. Like Japanese mascots were a severe special interest of mine back in like 2013 and 2014. I know a lot about those guys, and they're all fucking great.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has like Gritty and the Philly Fanatic, and they're the only two good ones.
There's also that one with the big head that took a nap on top of a baseball dugout and got thrown out of the game.
So how do we make the mascot industry leftist?
Oh well, I'm gonna paste the picture of I will put it into the guest room, I guess, of like the Japanese Communist Party's various mascots.
They're all very good.
They all represent various aspects of like their kind of positions. So the one with the speaker is like a union organizer. Mm-hmm. The one that's just the purse is like the common working man who's living from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, the one with the barrel represents the free oil because the oil is negative money now.
I take it the guy with the guitar is like the arts and culture.
You'll have to be more specific.
Yeah, the thing that makes Japan's mascot better is that Japan will make a mascot for anything and everything. Japan makes mascots for their sports teams. Obviously, we've all seen that really sexy lion. That's the mascot for that baseball team. I'll post pictures.
But this is all a part of their the Japanese Communist Party's main philosophy, which is, if I'm going to do this correctly, Aisaseru Kyosan Shugi, which is lovable communism.
By the way, it's the Saitama Seibu Lions.
That's like the extremely hyped version of aspirational socialism that they were talking about in the Labour leadership election.
The thing is, if we're gonna adopt mascot culture in like the Western left, we need to beat John Oliver. Because John Oliver has taken over mascots. Liberals have started to take over mascots. We need to destroy John Oliver.
Are you saying John Oliver is sort of like a mascot for the kind of centrist?
Yes.
They have.
This is the angle we go.
They have
this is the angle we go.
mascots?
The Japanese communists also have negative mascots for like big companies that destroy like mom and pop industries. So we do
Mascots.
evil John Oliver as one of the
Yes!
negative mascots. Yeah, they have Oppo mascots of like big companies and shitty bosses.
But no, literally, John Oliver talks about mascots in other countries a lot, and also has several of his own mascots, and some of them are kind of funny. Like, I'm gonna say, like, John Oliver is a lib, and he has some bad points, but I think he's generally pretty
left
good
lib.
at telling the news.
He gets Liverpool points.
Yeah, it's just he should never be editorializing about foreign countries.
I fucking
That's
hate
basically
John
it.
Oliver right now, and this is gonna sound like I'm doing a bit. I'm genuinely not. That fucking rat porn that he bought, I'm so mad about it because that is truly like, it is like an artifact of furry culture. He does not deserve it. It belongs in a museum.
It belongs to the people. Yes, no, you are correct.
John Oliver does not deserve that fucking rat porn. That has been like.
I
that
mean,
has
he's
been-
British. They steal culture and put it in museums.
Did you guys see that tweet? There was like the art gallery in Animal Crossing, and it was like the British Museum, and they repatriate all
Yes.
their artifacts.
So yeah,
So good.
but like when you get the museum and it's first open and there's nothing in it, it's just like the empty pedestals and empty frames. And
That's what a British museum under proper communism would look
Yes.
like that.
there's no real segue here, but I wanted to talk about this before I had to leave the call. My topic that I want to talk about is the Canadian emergency response benefit and how it is not UBI because, for instance, last week on Worst Year Ever, which is a really good podcast, but is pretty America-centric, they had a guest who basically gave Canada as an example of a country which immediately instituted the UBI when the pandemic broke out, and that is not what happened.
It is extremely not what happened.
It is. So the CERB or Serb or Serbi fully bloated is what my
The
nickname
Serbians.
was.
Is this leaving really aggressive anti-Albanian YouTube comments?
Yes, that is the main.
Serbi fully loaded is when they're just stocked to the brim with cum. Thank you.
Yeah. So Trudeau has these like almost daily like briefings outside his house, and he's always like 15 minutes late for them. And I guess he's just like writing YouTube comments in that time.
Oh my god, for the first one, he was like 45 minutes late. It was
It's ridiculous.
untenable.
I'm sorry, but you guys just got cooked. Like that's a pimp move.
Yeah,
Late
no.
to a meeting you call.
outside his
Outside
which
his
he was-
house!
which he was in quarantine in.
He was having a really good match of Fortnite.
He was writing racist YouTube comments. Let's be real.
He was
But no, so
he was playing Fortnite on one screen, writing YouTube comments on the other. He's,
Yeah.
I just wanted to go over the means testing that exists in this stimulus. And it is like, it's a changing thing. Like it has improved since it was introduced. But as of recording, these guidelines are from April 17th. Canada Emergency Response Benefit qualifies for people who have been laid off or terminated, sick, quarantined, or self-isolated, or working parents due to COVID-19, or who work but receive less than $1,000 before taxes.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I think that was added on
yeah, that was added on.
because I'm pretty sure it was if you were making any income in a period that you were ineligible, which actually made me ineligible for the first benefit because I was making I made like $100 of continuing work payment because my work decided to pay us for like 2 weeks and then kicked us
And
all
so,
off.
So here are the other stipulations. You have not received EI benefits in the same eligibility period, which is employment insurance. You did not quit your job voluntarily. You have to reside in Canada. You're 15 years or older. And you have to have earned a minimum of $5,000 in the last 12 months.
Which means you had to have filed your taxes last year, which a lot of people don't do when they don't make a lot of money.
Sorry, back. Did you just say that they needed to have earned $5,000 in the last however long to get access? So if I say was a person,
student?
a student, or like a person who has not been able to find a job, or like someone who's living with their parents.
Yeah, fuck you.
So that's what they say it does not replace employment insurance, which theoretically, if you had no income in the past 12 months, you might have had employment insurance, but that obviously also comes with
so many barriers.
So the money earned from employment insurance would count as $5,000 earned?
No. So you don't.
If you
qualify.
were on employment insurance, you just don't qualify at all.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And like, I mean, even just coming, like, even before you get to any of the conditions, the fact that you have to apply for it makes it not a UBI.
Exactly.
Like, that's it, right there. You have to apply. The CERB it's only currently outlined for 4 28-day periods. I believe they started around somewhere mid-March because they were a bit backdated. And you could apply for each of these 4 periods depending on your eligibility, and you have to apply each time to get the benefit each time. So, like, it's not a UBI if you have to continually apply for it. That said, I did get my Trudeau bucks, and I immediately spent it on video games.
Nice.
I'm not eligible because luckily my work is still paying me, even though I'm not going into work because I was in a mall location. Like, they had to close us down, so they were paying us, like, at first they're just paying us our paycheck, and then they were like, okay, you're gonna keep getting paid for a couple months. So I'm good for now.
I mean, that's nice.
It is nice, but I don't know, like, what will happen after that runs out. Because there's no, like, it is so convoluted. It is so.
Well, they're also, one of the things that they're trying to introduce is a federal wage subsidy right now, and essentially what that is 75% of your wage. And it said that if you're on, like, payroll again, then you get the wage subsidy, and you aren't eligible for CERB, even if that wage subsidy would be significantly less money than CERB. So basically, no one wants their work to sign up for the wage subsidy because of this. And then, of course, this wage subsidy was meant for businesses impacted by coronavirus by having to close most of their business. And some of the businesses applying for it are payday loan centers and airlines like Air Canada, which have done nothing but fuck the consumer over consistently forever in the entire length of their existence as a private corporation.
I know I've said my piece on them before, so I won't do it again, but payday loan corporations make me so fucking mad.
The fact that they're fucking applying for assistance benefit makes me want to smash their stores to the ground if that wouldn't also give them an insurance payout.
All right, so I'm in favor of them applying to it, but at the same rates that they provide their payday loans.
Yeah,
It just becomes a massive revenue stream for the state. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of, like, payday loans are huge in Oshawa because it's a post-industrial town where there's a lot of
desperation, sadness, and misery.
Desperation, sadness, misery, and a lot of shift and part-time work. Because basically a lot of the larger employers, like, since the GM plant shut down, have been, like, temporary industries and people working, like, contract for the hospitals and stuff like that. That said, the GM factory has, like, whoever currently owns it, I don't even know if it's GM anymore, are ramping up a plan to use the GM factory, which was making cars, and using it to manufacture masks and PPE. So that's cool. I really do like. I hope that actually comes through, and then that they can use that factory for something that will have continual employment afterwards.
This is the factory that people were agitating to be converted to, like, a Green New Deal factory, basically, to, like,
yes, it should be making trains.
It should be making all sorts, like, there's all sorts of things that we need that no one is making, in which this factory that GM didn't want anymore should have been nationalized to make.
Yeah, it's really cool that, like, Canada's fledgling transport companies, such as Metrolinx in Ontario, I call them fledgling as a joke, they're a state-owned body, were purchasing all their trains from Bombardier originally, which is a Quebec company that takes repeated federal bailouts and is somehow yet not nationalized, and now they are buying all their trains from France. It's cool. We love it.
Like, the neoliberal state is a pay pig. It's fine.
That really is it, isn't it?
I do have to hop off the call now. I just wanted to quickly put in my Lightbringer, which is really specific. It is Chris Fleming co-hosting on Punch Up the Jam. It is.
Oh my god, he's so fucking good.
The exact energy that I needed to get me through these days.
Oh, I'm going to listen to
go
that.
listen to that.
If you have checked out of Punch Up the Jam since Demi left, which I know a lot of people did, first of all, Miel is also very funny.
Yeah.
And second of all, Chris Fleming is completely unhinged, and you need to hear his episodes. And the most recent one was Fall Out Boy, Sugar, We're Going Down.
Yep.
It's so good.
Anyway, Miel has had such a chaotic energy recently, and I'm kind of living for it.
No, it's so good.
All right, I have to go now. Thank you so much for being on, Ciarán. And have a good rest of the podcast, guys.
Semper funny.
Semper funny.
Semper funny.
Feel free to cut this if we don't want to talk about it, because I know we said we wouldn't talk about such big, these kind of things normally, but it was the Canada shooting. I know we said we wouldn't cover those too much, but the fact that it's like the biggest thing in the biggest one of those in like Canada's history.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I'm okay with keeping you saying that in, just so it has been brought up.
Okay.
But yes, Canada did very much have its largest mass shooting in history. The first thing that has surpassed the École Polytechnique massacre, which happened in 1989, before I was born.
Yep.
Winning. We got it. We beat the record, folks.
Yep. By some guy who dressed up like a cop and drove a cop car.
Oh, and of course, naturally, the coverage of him was he was remembered as a gentle denturist and he had a passion for policing. Was something that was literally in one of the headlines, which as if that's a good thing and not an inherent red flag. And a lot of people were making comparisons to the article coverage when Tina Fontaine died. She was a young Indigenous woman who faced a lot of abuse and was found in a river. And the headlines after her autopsy were performed was she was found with drugs and alcohol in her system. This is a 16-year-old. Who was murdered, and that was the headline that she got. And this guy who went and killed a bunch of people, including cops, which like usually they're a little harder on cop killers. No, he had a passion for policing and was a gentleman. So that's the entire amount of discussion about that. But let's just say there are a lot of reasons why I'm pissed off with Canadian media this week, and not just the ones I'd already talked about.
Yeah. You want to talk about some fun Canada news?
Yeah, sure.
Before that, I'm really thirsty, but water's a little bit too expensive right now, so I'm just going to go take a big old sip of oil.
Yes.
Ever since the last episode we did, I was talking about how oil had dipped below the price of a Barrel of Monkeys toy. Barrel of Monkeys bracket toy. And it has gone significantly lower. So the Western...
in the States, it bottomed out at negative $40.
Yeah, so there are two oil stocks that make up like the North American oil market. There's Western Canadian Select, which is the one I was talking about last time. And that one is the one that's mixed with the dilutant that ended up actually more expensive than the oil. And the
other one was called Eastern Canadian Start, right?
No. So basically... the whole point there was that at that point, the oil already technically had a negative value because the only thing that gave it any nominative positive value was the value of the dilutant. And then it actually went to a fully negative value. And then Western Texas Intermediate, which is like it's not a marginal oil product, it's ostensibly better oil that people will actually be able to use even when it's not like... The whole thing about Western Canadian Select is that it's only a valuable product when oil price is over like $70. Mm-hmm. So you can see how staking all their futures on that was a great idea for Alberta.
Yeah, finite resources, numbers always go up.
The numbers always go up. But yeah, so
oil.
Even Western Texas Intermediate fell below zero, which is so fucking funny.
Now more than ever, it is imperative that we make Jurassic Park so we can keep making oil.
Yes, that is going to be the plot of the next movie because they are fresh bum out of ideas.
Oh my God, Chris Pratt probably signed up for like a quadrilogy of that shit, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of Jurassic Park, I did see a very good tweet. that was like, I always thought it was unrealistic that they kept reopening Jurassic Park despite the death toll, but
Yes, yeah.
and then they just kind of gesture at everything.
Oh god, did we even talk about the? Did we even talk about the fucking astroturfing that's been happening with all this? Sorry, I know we're talking about oil right now, but I think
that rather than discuss coronavirus, which we have managed to mostly avoid doing on this episode, I'm gonna say listen to the worst year ever, which I think does very good coverage of the amount that those protests are astroturfed. So it's basically like, yes, they are, but that's not that simple. There are definitely people showing up at these things that intend
100%.
to be there, and there's a lot of people who make a living on the conservative grift industry.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
those people's specialty is starting shit, not continuing shit, but starting shit. And
Also,
letting
the
other
Tea Party
people continue to do it.
Yeah, the Tea Party was started by shit, but it, was picked up by real people. The Rochester, the reopened Rochester, sorry to dox myself, I guess, but the reopened Rochester movement actually organized in the next town over, because Rochester is a downtown city, which means there's a lot of black people, and they didn't want to go to downtown because it's scary.
I also really like how sweet it was when you said that this topic was unrelated to oil. Because it very much is.
But yeah, no, this also, it's just, imagine if our oil-dependent economies had decided to move earlier to a green economy that, by all accounts, actually creates more jobs and is better for the environment, and in general will move us off of a finite resource. And the whole world wasn't run by rich oil jerks who all themselves understand that oil is a declining resource and have divested their own profit interests into other technology, while essentially just trying to trick governments into paying them so that they can make it profitable for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is. It's just it's a propaganda arm to just squeeze the last bit of blood out of the stone before they abandon oil wholesale and abandon all the workers at the same time. I think I said this last time too, but nonetheless, it still holds.
Okay, so there's one thing I would like to add to that, which is, I like how much credit you're giving to these people, but a lot of them really held on to this oil's going to keep on going thing for so long.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like these are from like their actual like they're like leaks and filings from their like board meetings. So like they'll publicly go on about how oil is going to go up forever, but a lot of the people who actually finance the industry itself very much understand where the wind is going, right?
Oh, sure. But like I'm talking about the people who have like the direct one-to-one connection between oil prices and their own personal wealth. I am talking about like the Saudi royal family.
Oh yeah,
because the Saudi royal family is what's been pumping a lot of money into a lot of shit for a very, very long time. So the really fun thing we need to look out for is what NGOs, public policy units, think tanks suddenly disappear conveniently at this time for whatever reason. They won't really state why. And also, every direct-to-consumer startup is gone. So many startups are gone because all venture capital money was like Saudi princes with too much oil money that couldn't invest the money nationally in any meaningful way. So they all like invested in like the Uber for cactuses. And
oh god.
That's like all gone now.
I mean, that's a positive, isn't it?
Yeah,
we don't need any of these things. Although one of the things that the Saudi royals bought was the Canadian Wheat Board, which was essentially a bulk buying, so that all Canadian wheat was bought and sold in bulk to help control price and also to help farmers, make good money off of their stock so that they can, continue to produce wheat. It was a system that was good and was working and was just kind of sold off to venture capital, which ended up mostly being Saudis. And now we're in a point where a bunch of people are letting their potatoes rot in the field while food banks are out of food. Doesn't it capitalism great in a system that works?
It's such a good system.
It's such a good system.
One more thing about oil, because this I have no idea. This might have happened before our last episode. I have literally no concept of time, as none of us seem to. Remember how Canada was building a pipeline and then the United States said no?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, this is not the Dakota. Sorry, I'm mixing up all my pipelines. This is not the transatlantic pipeline, right?
No, this is the Keystone XL.
Okay,
this is the one
yes.
that's going through the northern states. Whereas the one that the Wet'suwet'en protests are about is that's a natural gas pipeline.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So Keystone XL is for oil.
And I was confusing also that with Dakota Access, which is states thing. But yeah, that's fun. Just Canada. I think you probably know a little bit more about the history of the Keystone XL, Matt, just because it was a Canada thing, right? Like,
yeah, I mean Trudeau pushed for it, and the Alberta government pushed for it, and nobody else wants or likes it.
Yep, and then they just spent so much money and time on it, and the United States just pressed their lips to the mic and said no.
The thing is that even in an ostensibly non-bottomed out oil market, Western Canadian Select is a marginal oil product that does not make enough money unless, as I said, oil is well over like $50 a barrel, like closer to $70 a barrel, and it just hasn't been that in so long, and it's never getting back there. And none of the oil jobs are coming back anyway because oil companies in Alberta spent most of the economic downturn from the initial crash in oil prices turning all their workers into automation so they don't have to pay them anymore. Like, the jobs aren't coming back, the money isn't coming back. Even if the pipeline was made, no one wants our shitty oil. So just keep it in the fucking ground.
Yep.
In this economy?
Keep it in the fucking ground.
I lost all my money in oil, so the only solution is to drill more oil to sell money for oil money. Wait, hang on.
You need to buy negative oil. You need to give them. They need to give you $1 million and then also $1 million worth of oil because it's worth negative money.
There's definitely a scheme in here somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a scheme in here somewhere. We just need to figure it out.
I feel like this is
We're
the
gonna
always
spend
sunny now.
all our Patreon money on oil. Oil's definitely going back up, folks.
Podcast exploits the oil crisis.
Is there anything else before we move on to the final topic, which is Joseph Biden's fun ads?
Oh my god. Okay, so
I just want to talk about the real one first, which is like the fucking the extremely racist one that's like, President Trump wants to be a wartime president. Well, he's not doing a very good job of it. He went too easy on the Chinese.
Okay, so you know the reason why turnip prices in Animal Crossing are so low? The Chinese. Do you know why you can't get up in the morning? The Chinese. It's everything is their fault.
It's Russia too.
Russia too, but with better food?
God. Yeah, no, I saw that. I'm like, you remember that one tweet that came out like 3 days after the 2016 election that's like, the Democrats are going to see all this and they're going to think the answer is we need to get more racist?
Yeah.
It's fucking evergreen. It works every time.
Yeah.
It really is just the eternal strategy is, okay, it didn't work. Let's move to the right again. Let's get more racist. Let's scapegoat. That clearly seems to work for them. And our bases are identical because we just see them as the voting plebs. We don't...
Like, obviously the Democrats would never lift a finger to help minorities, but the fact that they're doing all this shit and like not giving like any attention to the fact that like Asian Americans are being extremely are like just absolutely going through it in the States right now.
Oh yeah,
and also,
well, especially because like Americans can't even tell different Asian Americans apart.
Yep.
So it's much like after 9/11, how anyone who was even remotely brown was targeted for attacks.
I also maybe
It's
I'm
just the
like
same here.
overestimating Americans, but like, who actually gives a fuck if Donald Trump said he was going to be a wartime president and he's not? Like,
people who love rattling sabers.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
like,
it's
war is the only context in which the United States, like, everything, it's, you know, there's a war, it's a war on crime, it's a war on drugs, it's a war on the coronavirus, it's a war on everything. I know that language is like not just limited to the States, but like we sure do love that shit, and goddamn do we love war.
But then the thing is like the people who that kind of rhetoric appeals to are going to see one Donald Trump tweet that's like a fucking shit post with Joe Biden's face photoshopped onto something, and immediately they'll go back over like. You can't just like pop up and be like, he's not a real soldier, and then it's just terrible.
I think the problem with this is that, or like the one other aspect of like war language is when you frame it as a war, you can frame the opposition as being on the side of the virus. I mean, that's what Hungary has been doing when they said they were at war with coronavirus, and then said everything that Viktor Orban doesn't like is on the side of coronavirus.
Oh yeah, Hungary was the country that had the just like the full like takeover, right? The fucking dictator now.
Yeah, he can rule by decree now, and he's decided to use that.
I've got your corner Spaeti episode on that queued up next in my podcast queue.
Good.
So
it's mad depressing.
Yay!
Did you ever wonder how protecting a population from a virus could be turned into transphobia? Now you know.
That was like the first thing he passed, wasn't it?
It was like all Hungarians have to use the pronouns they were born with.
Yep. If you want to hear more about that, also, by the way, I really recommend the coronavirus is covering up an attack on trans people, the worst year ever episode.
Yeah.
That's more states focused, but they do talk about Hungary.
But it doesn't matter that the DNC, the Democratic head office, is basically the Price is Right board, except with all pictures of various ethnicities from an 1800s phrenology textbook that they spin and just be like, who are we going to blame this time? Last year it was the Slavs.
Let's pop out the skull and calipers.
Yeah, basically. It'll circle a background. I'm looking for the 2024 election when it's just it's the damn Irish. So that'll be good again.
The Troubles too.
Yeah, they all keep coming over on their famine planes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I guess we should move on to talking about the. I shouldn't decide when we move on to things. I'm the guest. Hang on.
Well, I was about to bring up the other Biden ad.
Yeah,
okay, so
Matt, tell me about this one.
Yeah, the other Biden ad is one where it's Joe Biden smiling, and there's a glowing light over his heart. It says his brain, no, his heart. And it's not a real ad.
Oh,
that is why people keep getting banned for posting it.
Yeah. Nice.
It took me so long to understand. Basically, people were posting about this ad with jokes, as one would do when you see an ad that bad. Yeah. And they were getting banned for posting something Twitter only has one filter. Yeah, they only have one. They only have one ban tag for election and politics related stuff, and it's misleading voters. When they should just have a tag saying it's not a real ad, and then maybe people would understand why they were getting banned for posting it.
Yeah, friend of the pod, former host of the pod, Brooks, was tragically a victim of this. He made I don't remember what his very funny post was, but
it was about Scrappy Doo being dead in Miami.
It was about Scrappy Doo.
God damn, I keep pressing the F key, but nothing happens.
God, remember when Scrappy Doo said scrote?
Yes. But basically, honestly, it's kind of embarrassing how easily duped we all were by it, but at the same time, it kind of says something about the Biden campaign that it was something that we saw as realistic.
Well, also, they probably had to move to request Twitter to take it down because they were like, oh my god, they've got a beat on this fucking campaign. They know, our messaging. Okay.
Oh no, it was leaked. Let's claim it was fake.
Do you remember that time, by the way, that 5,000 years ago when someone did a thing at their comedy show where they pretended to have everyone do the moves like Bloomberg dance, and everyone thought it was real for a little bit because it just seemed kind of legitimate.
Yeah.
Given that the Bloomberg meme team was photoshopping his face onto a meatball.
I feel like it's very mean to blame people for reality has just entered so far into the void.
No, I'm not blaming them. I got duped by that also. I fully believe that was real for a good hour or so after I first saw it.
But we all deserve sympathy because reality has just gotten this bad that things like this are believable.
Yeah, I think someone on Twitter who I cannot remember really put it succinctly when they said it really all said what's happening with reality when one of the people involved in the leaks that Chelsea Manning was implicated for was named Reality Winner. When that happened,
for the longest for a week after that for the week after I saw that story for the first time, I truly thought that they were purposefully obscuring her actual name, and they were just talking about her as someone who won a TV she won Survivor once.
No, that's literally just her fucking name.
That was her handle. Everyone thought that was her hacker handle or something.
No, that's just her fucking name. And I think that was where we entered into the alternate timeline where someone who thinks this shit is really funny is controlling the simulation, and it's really pissing me off, and I'm about to Truman show my way the fuck out of here.
The door out of here has to be somewhere. Okay, but can I give you some Biden campaign update that is real and is also terrifyingly surreal?
Wait, hold on. Before we do that, there's a joke that Alex wanted us to say before she left, which is when she just said, when you talk about the Biden ad, please say electability is stored in the heart.
It is good joke.
And given that Joe Biden has been dead for over 4 weeks now, it's stored nowhere.
God, yeah, he is dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't believe anyone on this podcast was standing in the way of our first deepfake president.
That would explain why all he can say is gibberish.
Yeah.
It's the impressionist has only really got his sort of timbre and sort of tone of voice nailed.
I really
so what's the very real update?
Joe Biden is a procedurally generated deepfake.
I know. I think it's going to be like, there's a really great movie in this of just like, you know, the Men in Black storming Mia Khalifa's house and telling her she's the only person who can be she's now the president because this technology only maps successfully onto porn stars. So we need you to pretend to be Joe Biden for 4 years, maybe 8.
Oh my god, the fucking I'm completely blanking on the name of that fucking rap group, quote unquote, that did the song about her.
So what you're saying is that Joe Biden has massive Dobonka honkaroos?
That's my president.
Just huge bonkanaga hoogs. Just big ol' hama bonga bongalogongas.
We hopefully in November we will be going from our first wet president to our first milky president.
When are we getting
the world's first mega milk president?
When are we getting our first big titty president?
God,
we could have had Hillary.
Okay, but here's the real thing. Here's the real thing that's kind of tragic. So there is like an interest group, like what do you call it? Like, I think it's a super PAC. It is a super PAC, yes. That is got an absolutely terrible campaign name. They're backing Biden 2020, and their campaign is Buy Dawn, BYEDON. Because
that is my favorite Tully in A Song of Ice and Fire.
Right? But like, it's meant to be by Donald Trump, but like, it actually is going to be like a bumper sticker by the biggest Donald Trump fans ever, because it just sounds like Goodbye Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It truly just looks like a quest-giving NPC's name in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes.
Bye then.
Yeah, you have to go speak to Biedan in the Waking Sands.
Yeah, so Joe Biden's gonna lose.
Yep. Especially with their campaign dunked on Donald Trump is like saying goodbye to him.
It's okay though. They're gonna replace him with sexy Governor Cuomo, who cut like $2 billion in like public funding literally today at time of recording.
Oh, you gotta love it.
But
remember that time that he said New York City was producing new fresh hand sanitizer to everyone, and then it turned out to just be something that a bunch of prisoners were making, and
they weren't even making it; they were just repackaging existing hand sanitizer from someone who was friends with the Cuomo campaign,
and they weren't even able to like get any of their own, and like there's still like massive prisons in New York State, like the country over, but like New York State especially because it is like one of like the hotbeds of COVID. Sorry to talk about COVID. We get so far without doing it.
It's dense.
Yeah.
Like I hate Cuomo so fucking much. He's like, the thing about this is that I know New York City.
What you're saying is that you are not a Cuomo-sexual.
I'm not a Cuomo-sexual. No, Cuomo frustrates me because I feel like the rest of the state is getting like, and I do recognize that New York City is extremely like a hotbed of this stuff right now, but at the same time I feel like he's just become the governor of New York City and the rest of the state is just kind of like shrug.
Yeah, it does seem like that kind of just happens a lot.
The county that I live in is like there has been a good number of like outbreaks, and like we're not overrun with it, but there have been a number. It just feels like the entire thing is it's he and De Blasio are now just like kind of fighting over who gets to lead New York City.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he sucks. I think what really it comes down to is the fact that the healthcare system in the United States doesn't make any fucking sense. Because I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Providence, and he works as a courier for the basically the hospital, the largest hospital chain. First of all, he said the phrase hospital chain, which that already broke me. Yeah. And then he told me that the people who own the hospitals in Providence are headquartered in California.
Sick.
Regular.
So and then also that who works as a courier for these hospitals, which you think would be in high demand, just got furloughed and is no longer getting work or pay. Cool. When you would think that he should be getting a pay increase, more work, and also personal protective equipment, but instead was basically just forced to courier things to and from hospitals without any protection whatsoever unless he bought it.
Yeah, my mom works at a hospital. My sister does too. They get one mask a week. They keep it in paper bags. It's
so fucking Canada's not doing great on that front either. There's a lot of fundamental mismanagement that we really don't have time to get into at this point.
Yeah, the PPE is just like the government is literally just like seizing things. Like Virginia had a huge shipment of masks on their way, and the federal government was like, no, we're going to take that to the stockpile, deuces. And so Virginia's just being kind of left out in the cold, and it's very obvious. I think we talked about this already on the last episode, but it's very obvious that Trump is just denying the Democratic states as much as he possibly can.
Well, it's states with Democratic governors, and it's fucking weird as hell because they're states with Democratic governors that went for him in the last election. Like Virginia and Michigan, who both have Democratic governors, both went for Trump.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's gonna be oh, there's a shortage of PPE, and they're gonna be like, oh, the damn governor, I hate that guy. Grr. They're not gonna say that they're not gonna say their Lord and Savior Trump was at fault here. It's the governor's fault for not.
It's brutal.
It's the government.
Yeah. Anyways,
that really boils down to the point we got to earlier, which is we need to get to these people where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And essentially convince them that the government in this case is not their friend.
I'm assuming direct control of this podcast so that we can fucking end it.
We're going to Lightbringers.
So I guess Ciarán, what's your Lightbringer this week?
Oh, okay. My Lightbringer. I have a second one, but I'll bring that up towards the end because I think I'll have an opportunity later to say it if everyone's going to be super nice to me. But yay! The actual so another Lightbringer of mine has been that there was a tweet that went kind of viral and ratioed about Kyle Kulanski complaining about how Sean should be spelled SHAWN or SHAUN and not SEAN, which as someone who is a fierce defender of the Irish language and how it's the way it's written makes way more sense than English. I went off. This was a tweet for me, and it made me very happy. I've never been able to successfully pitch Irish orthography as a thing I can tweet about, but I did it.
Sean, can you imagine the kind of world we would be in if it was SHAUN Bean?
The thing is that is how his name is actually spelled, and he chose the other way to make it look like that.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no, that
You're
Sean
lying.
Bean. Look it up.
You're fucking lying.
Holy fucking shit, dude.
So it's also hang on. I think I have to explain this thing that only works if you. This only works if you understand the Irish language. But he's also kind of spelling his name wrong again, because when you spell SEAN, you're meant to put an accent mark over the A. That makes it Sean and not Shan. He's actually Shanban, which means old woman. It means old woman.
Good. Really fun thing for everyone who didn't know that to know is that he changed the spelling to make it like that.
Oh my God.
Which I think is a baller move.
Did you know that my man has been divorced 4 times?
He's 61?
Yeah.
Every former partner was just I thought you were going to live to the end in this one. I just can't be with a man like that.
Okay, I'm hereby announcing my resignation from the podcast. I'm about to start.
Yeah, clearly they haven't watched National Treasure, where he very much does live till the end of that movie.
I forgot he was in that movie. God.
Good movie. My Lightbringer this week is in like the times of quarantine, my brain has steadily turned into a fine mush. So I have been seeking just things to stimulate the brain a little from the old pits of YouTube. And I have actually found a couple of channels that have really scratched the itch of like something cool being built, which is always my favorite thing. I was like a big slut for How It's Made marathons whenever they were on. You know, you just kind of sit and veg and watch the machines do some cool shit. So the two channels that I have been looking at have been Look Ma No Computer.
Oh, that's so good. Yep.
Yeah, and he is
That's the
making a
synth
machine
guy, right?
that is for.
That's the guy that made the Sega synth, right?
Yes, he made a Sega synth. That was one thing that came out recently that he did. The thing that I have been watching the most of is he is making a giant synth out of 48 Game Boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And the other person I've been looking at has been Wintergotten, who in 2016 made the video called Marble Machine, which people may remember because it was hugely viral. I found out earlier this week that he has been making a sequel for 4 years. He has been building a new marble machine called the Marble Machine X, where all the parts are updated. He has like machine built metal parts for it. He has been like he'll post a video where he's like, I've made my new marble machine as accurate timing as a like professional drum machine. And this is something that is dropping marbles onto a drum.
Yeah.
And he has a race track on the back end of it just for the sake of having a marble run, which I have talked about the Marble Olympics and Marbula 1 and Jell's marble runs before. They're very much things I already enjoy and have been very good in the time of absolutely no sports. Just watching Marble Run and professional Tetris videos. Also would highly recommend both of them. They're very fun just for your eyes. Just see the things move. It's fun.
Sports stopping hasn't stopped esports from stopping, so I'm still watching. You know,
the
League of Legends tournaments.
It has started everyone being put into the you might be interested in esports advertising category because those ads have gotten super aggressive.
Oh my! My something about my YouTube browsing has taken to just getting the worst mobile games advertised to me. Like it's all like blank of blank. Rise of Kingdoms, Age of War, fucking whatever the shit. All
I get are professional Pokemon videos, which is fine because I do have a Pokemon podcast.
YouTube tried to drop a fucking 22-minute ad on me yesterday.
But yeah, no, it's a kind of a running joke that the only sports I like are alternative sports. I literally am an admin of a sports-focused group on Facebook. And all I post are things about the spelling bee, which has been sadly canceled for 2020. We are not getting the Scripps bee this year. I post about marble racing, and I post about Deadspin Name of the Year. And Deadspin... or Undeadspin, rather, the former writers of Deadspin, are actually running a Name of the Year bracket this year, as well as Roy's bracket that has been running in the PGOT and HKIP Discord servers. So we get two Name of the Year, you get two this year. That's a backup Lightbringer. Just so everyone knows, Name of the Year is happening, and also Name of the Year is happening from Roy. We get two.
Nice. My Lightbringer this week is going to be... Did I recommend Villainous Isekai last time? Does anyone remember?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't recommend that. It's good. It's good as shit, though. I will say that again. I want to recommend the new Digimon series, but it's on hiatus currently. The first 3 episodes are really good, but it's kind of on pause because of everything. I know I recommended the show before, but I'll recommend it again because it's on its 2nd season now. Ascendance of a Bookworm. It's a really, really good. It's just it's a really different isekai, which is I'm a sucker for isekai. I never finish them, but I'm always drawn in, and they always kind of suck shit. But Ascendance of a Bookworm has kept me on because it's really fun. It's really cute. It takes a little while to get going, but this 2nd season is really just kind of off to the races. I'm super interested, even though the current episode, the episode I'm in the middle of, the episode that I'm in the middle of is just about the mechanics of high society in this universe, and it's on paper it doesn't sound very interesting, but in practice it's great because the main character is great. It's just a really cute and fun show. It's been a really nice salve for my brain.
I'll check it out. My Lightbringer this week was Succession. I just finished Succession, which is the most guy in a podcast thing ever.
All the rich white folks are going to argue.
All that means is that we get to put Demi's Succession rap over the credits.
Oh,
so
yes.
And then whoever's like, just
It's
don't do it.
all I've been thinking about all week since I finished it. Like, I literally can't spend like 10 seconds in my flat in silence, like going, "Who's going to get a kiss from Daddy?" Like, it's just been fucking out of control. But
So funny.
it's like I immediately after I finished Succession started Devs, that FX sci-fi show.
how is that? I've been meaning to get into it because it's Alex Garland and I trust him with my life.
Right, so
Who's
I
Alex
wouldn't
Garland?
recommend
Who else? What else
watching
did he
it
do?
straight after Succession because it was like the whiplash of going from like some of the funniest script, like tightest script writing to an Alex Garland. John might not have been the best idea. I really like Alex Garland, and I was looking forward
Alex
to
Garland did Ex Machina and wrote 28 Days Later.
it. And Annihilation.
And did the Annihilation movie, yes.
Oh, poggers.
But so first of all, Succession is like the best moral tale I've ever seen, and like it's already my favorite TV show a week after like fully digesting it. I just think it was like fucking brilliant. I can't wait for it to come back. But Devs is like the softest sci-fi Alex Garland's ever done. Like, it feels like the kind of really, really strong sci-fi fiction that is coming out just in like novel form at the moment. Like, it's got the kind of like soft tech, sort of present tech dystopia type of thing. But Nick Offerman's in it, so it was interesting to see Nick Offerman in like a different role to what he usually plays, and he plays it well. But the script is so thick with exposition and like
In a good way or a bad way?
in a bad way. And I watched the first 3 episodes and then just read the rest of the plot, and I think like the ideas it was playing with were probably very, very cool, but the idea that they landed on in the end is really, really poor. So if you're expecting like something like Ex Machina or Annihilation, I wouldn't recommend it. I would just watch Succession instead.
Might just watch Succession then.
It's so good, Matt. It's so fucking good.
I mean, this is the fucking time to be watching an assload of TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or movies. If anyone hasn't been checking out our Discord lately, we've been streaming a movie every weekend.
Yep.
And it's been fucking great. Like, we did Summer Wars yesterday.
Oh, I cried so hard.
It is such a good movie.
There's just like 10 minutes there's just 10 minutes in the middle of that movie that's just non-stop bawling for me.
Yeah, and it's just like it's been really good time for entertainment, which is like why it's really frustrating that like, you know, a lot of governments are using this as a time to cut arts funding.
Yeah.
Ciarán, did you say you had another Lightbringer, or did you already say your 2?
I have one if we're at the end of the podcast and we're allowed to do plugs.
Oh, go, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yay! All right. My name's Ciarán. I do a podcast called Corner Spaeti. I'm the sexy one.
It's very good.
Thank you. Okay, so the thing that's been the Lightbringer is we have a problem where Corner Spaeti is like has a very German word at the end of it, Spaeti, that has an umlaut, and then we have to explain to people that when you don't have an umlaut available, you have to write AE instead of just A. It's been terribly confusing for everyone who doesn't speak German.
So hypothetically, could I instead replace AE with Ash, and that would do the same thing as A with an umlaut?
So this is the problem that's been caused. For anyone who's not German, this has been a massive problem. So we finally got our like top level domain. We finally got our domain name. And I'm very happy because it's the dumbest domain name ever. So if you want to check out the podcast and all the stuff that we're doing, please go to operationglad.io. So I'm very happy about that.
Is that a Final Fantasy 15 joke?
Operation Gladio? No, it's the fucking NATO stay-behind armies that were all funded by the CIA and then turned all the European countries fascist.
Oh, okay. I recognized Gladio, and my brain said, "Oh, anime boy."
I mean, knowing the way that anime treats Western references vis-a-vis Evangelion using Christianity because it looks cool, I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a direct reference with no actual substance behind it.
All Catholic nuns are really well endowed and hunt vampires in their spare time. That's what anime taught me.
Oh, Ciarán.
Yes.
Barely related, but were you, on the Corner Spaeti like a couple weeks ago? Actually, it would have been a month ago because I'm way behind my backlog. Were you the one that recommended Food Wars?
Yes.
I tried watching that, and like I had to quit 5 minutes into the first episode. Does it
Oh
get
no,
better?
No, you can't do that. No, you have to watch the end. I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
So
you have to watch.
So after that really bad visual of the girl getting fucked by tentacles, it does get better?
Oh no, it's more of that. But it becomes hilarious and surreal because the animators are faced with the problem of how do we depict visually people enjoying food? So good food causes orgasms and bad food is like weird, horrible sexual assault scenes. And it's insane.
That sounds
It is insane.
terrible.
I also strongly recommend switching from the like sub to the dub halfway through because all people have voices you do not expect them to have. It's amazing. And then he goes to the food school where it's a really good school, and you know it's a good school because 97% of the students fail. That's what a good school is in Japan, when you fail all the students.
That sounds like engineering.
It's so good. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, if you have like, trigger warnings around sexual assault and stuff, maybe give it a pass.
Yeah.
But
it does not wait.
No, it does not. But also,
I might
it
check out the
doesn't.
rest
It
of that
doesn't.
episode then.
It doesn't discriminate against sexes. So if you want to see a bunch of guys orgasm from good food, that also happens.
I would love to see that. Okay, so I think now we do the wrap up. Hold on, I have to go through the 17 clicks to get to the actual list of patrons. Thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. Not a threat,
Just a fact.
if you want to find us, we are HKIPGTD everywhere. That includes Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. Don't go on Facebook. Reddit, thank you Reddit user Bisexual Punch Party for moderating that for us. And patreon.com/HKIPGTD. $1 a month gets you access to any of the bonus content we've done before. We've been doing some talks about like extended Lightbringers coming back because some of us some of the hosts have not been able to hit the recording time, so some of them want to just do a Lightbringer talk just to do that. So that might be coming down the pipes. $5 a month gets your name right on the podcast and special role in the Discord. $10 a month gets all of that stuff, and you also get to listen live if we happen to be recording at a time when you can. So thank you very much to your Sapphic Minecraft bee wife, Burgermeister, Stephanie Ruff, Pregnant Seinfeld, David Besser, Alex Schaup, Summer Geist, Tufster McGee, John Hill, Rain Raven, Patrick Van Brunt, Alex H, Jacob Sears, Neve Noel Williams, Win, Bryce, A Sexual Fish Tank, Ashinu, Alex Hoot, Maximilian Rower, Brian, Nick Clarkson, Jane Wick, Destry Hawk, Pierre the Disaster, The Tallest Jew, Non-Binary with Left Beef, Dijonais, Chaz Goblin, and Paul Blart Fleshcart.
We do love Paul Blart Fleshcart around here.
Thank you very much to the Taxpayers for the use of our intro music, which is Evil Men off of the album Cold Hearted Town. Absolute banger. I'm very glad that I've stopped listening to Sawbones just so that I don't have to do that mental gymnastics of not fucking that up anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to Dr. Activisionary for our podcast art. Thank you very much to Matt, GameCube, and NoiseSpace.xyz for hosting this podcast. I think that's all the things we have to say about this podcast. So if you want to find more of me, I'm on Twitter at Sunhatzhenya, SUNHATZHENYA. I can also be found on other Noise Space podcasts, such as Fear Baiting, where I talk about horror movies, or The Wonder Years, where me and my friends Blair and Seda talk about Animorphs. They're good podcasts, folks. And I think that's everything for me.
I'm Matt. I run this bitch. I also have several podcasts on the Noise Space Network, many of which are going to be recording episodes in the next little bit, including Tuning Fork, which is a podcast about Pitchfork Media Hype Machine, and also Elite Full Restore, which is about Pokemon. There was a huge volume of beta Pokemon leaks that I'm itching to talk about, so I'm trying to find a good guest for that, and that will probably be recorded at some point in the next week.
Beta Whooper is my friend.
It's my fucking son. Oh my god, it's so goddamn cute.
Beta Whooper, I would like to see Beta Whooper and Kotora interact.
Yeah! I mean, they were in at least one of the same builds, so they are friends.
Imagine if they hadn't been cut and you could see them interact in Pokemon Camp in Sword and Shield.
I'm sure someone's already modeled both of them, and someone will just make this. Someone will make this for me.
I really, if anyone happens to come across any like stuffed, like any like fan made plushes of Kotora, please let me know so I can buy it. I need a little electric tiger ball friend.
Yes. In addition to the one that you purchased at the Philadelphia Zoo.
Well, that one was an electric.
Yeah, that one was an electric tiger. It was just a regular tiger ball.
Yeah, Bumbles has no electricity of which to speak. He's just a tiger ball.
Matt? If you want to hear more from me, I'm Matt L. Steven on Twitter, and I have a podcast called Me, Myself, and IMDb, which you can find on Buzzsprout and Spotify for now. And it's about movies.
Matt, make a note. Sorry. Go on.
That's it.
Okay. GameCube, Matt, make a note to yourself to also put that one on the friend on the
I have been meaning to do that, but I will probably also just bring it onto the network at some point.
Yeah,
fair enough. Is that everything?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right, Ciarán, again, thank you so much for coming on today. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah.
It was so cool. I'm so hungry for dinner, though. I love you guys, but I'm so hungry for dinner.
All right, yeah, go fucking eat something. Until next time, fucking Memento Pokemori.
Memento Pokemori.
Memento Pokemori to use.
All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's best is going to win that kiss from Daddy. All the rich white folk are going to argue, and then whoever's best is going to win that kiss from Daddy. Who will get a kiss from Daddy? All the rich white folk are going to argue, but only one will triumph and win the prize of Daddy's love. Will Daddy kiss? Who will Daddy kiss? Who will Daddy Roy kiss? Who will Daddy kiss? Can he trust his kids? Oh, who will Daddy kiss? Daddy kiss, Daddy kiss, Daddy.